what does it take to be successful in America, in a capitalist, as it called, a capitalist society. Just want to share something because I'm wondering if it's something that I personally am doing wrong in how I approach what I am trying to be about and accomplish. There is a saying that which I have concluded that people say that they are being haunted, whoever people there may be, by demons. I think that maybe I am being haunted by the decisions that I have made. Since some say we're a product of our environment, but I like not to use it as an excuse. We're a product of the decisions that we make. So it is the decisions that one makes will determine how he or she will be successful. That which will determine his or her success. We living in a society where there is a lot of social comparison. There is what is considered to be race, considered to be class, difference in gender, economics, politics, religion, disparities, classification disparities. Classifications is how one would be categorized. And you look at the pronunciation of the word, cat or categorized. So it's image, dealing with image. Yes. And then we deal with policy, police, policy. Polis is I think, associated place in Greece, or it's a Greek term. You can check that if you choose to. Whereas that only the wealthy, had a right to vote. Women were excluded. And we see how that plays off, and at least in America. But now, men and women have a right to vote. Not that I put all, my eggs in that basket, if I may use that language, the goose that laid the golden egg, once the music stopped, the goose stopped laying the eggs. But yeah, just want to think, because I'm just seeing something here personally. I want to talk about a little bit. Someone wrote about values in American culture. Values in American culture. See, when I think about values, I like to think that values, someone would say, I shouldn't say when I think about it, someone said that values take a life, on its own. But I was looking for a book here. Here it is. I've often said that there are 8 things that follow me wherever I go. Values, virtues, views, vices, problems, questions, issues, and needs. So, when we're dealing with values, for me, it's associated with one of the keys to success. As I said, we're born for things we face every day: problems, questions, issues, and needs. The need meeting period address the incentive. So when you're dealing with values, you are addressing one's incentive, and that also is continuing upon one's motive of intent. Because to me, the mission is to promote the value of self-worth, being reacquainted with ourselves or yourself or myself. And the self is the soul, because the soul is the invested interest that's in each and every one of us. So incentive. And with incentive becomes the value. And maybe it takes a life, values takes a life of its own, but the values in American culture, America, a host well, also is associated with individual responsibility. Individual, the sum total of the whole, and the culture. Yes. One is personal control over the environment. Saying, wow, some people are more successful than others. Excuse me. I'm thankful that I was able to have some tea to drink. Thank you. I have some acquired taste for tea. Yes. So, personal control. Personal. I was looking at a theory, a Gestalt theory, and I think I titled it Individual Concerns and / Personal Responsibility. Seizing the moment. But personal control over the environment. There was a brother, and I use his name, no question. I use the other person's name or theory. Michael Jordan. Jordan is his name. I very rarely use names, but he's in the restaurant business. It was an interview that was done to him, and he said, man, I like to eat. And he says, not only that, he said, I can control the environment. Ain't that something? That's a beautiful thing. And because motivation and environment, there was a teaching, I know I didn't finish the statement, but there was a teaching that about children taking IQ tests. We know time, not we know, but time equals task. And they said that, but the motivation environment played a part on it. And, Dr. Du Bois said that he didn't go to Harvard because they had better teachers. He went there because the environment was conducive for learning. So we're dealing with environment. But yes, in the beehive or bee nest is at the right temperature. So it's attitude too. Attitude plays a part because temperament is attitude. But to control the environment. And then you look at the word environment itself. You got the word in and iron, chemical. Maybe iron out our differences, or an element that is in there and that which is designed to bring about balance. The yin and the yang, maybe. The balance, the attitude. Balanced attitude. Okay. People should control nature, their own environment and destiny. The future is not left to fate. 1. Here, 2, excuse me. Values in America, culture. 2, it says here, change and mobility. Change is seen as positive and good. You see how change is seen. Change your scene. Change your environment. And this is what money could do for you to be financially successful. It could change your environment. Yes. Or you can, be in an environment and try to change it yourself. And there may be not a substantial amount of change, but there may be incremental change. And that also plays a part on the individual itself. Yeah. But change, I say, is a product of human effort. Effort must be synthesized into a useful purpose. Change. No one won't change if they don't see an issue with their actions. So now we're dealing with character resolve. Yes. But yes, because character, the material that's been given to build on our humanity is character. But values in American culture, this means progress. Change is seen as positive and good. This means progress. Progressive. For me, progress is to be progressive. And that is to restore social credibility. So you become a very credible person. We still talk about being, successful as it plays a part in values in American culture. Let's use the word America. This is a paper that I'm reading from. Yeah, credible person. Be about your word, and that's being relevant. When you're being relevant, you're being productive, because the mind at its best is to be productive. Improvement and growth. Yes. The result, an established transit society geographically, economically, and socially. And I didn't do the result of personal control over the environment. It says an energetic, goal-orientated society. Energetic, goal-orientated society. So I don't know how I am, if I have been successful in being a part of an energetic, goal-orientated society, or an energetic, goal-orientated group of people, or being energetic myself and being goal-oriented, of being successful. Talk about if I have been successful or not. In a capitalist society in America, where people are celebrated based upon their success when it comes to wealth and certain things that some things people have overcome, that will put them in a position to achieve or acquire the wealth. So then we're dealing with accessibility. Michael Milken, I believe, said he couldn't believe people didn't have access to wealth. So it's wealth. But yes, move on. 3, time and its importance. And I've learned that time must be economized, and that's how you come up with economy. And I always say that awareness is the beginning of time. Time is valuable. One cannot chronicleize time, but because the soul or consciousness is eternal. But needless to say, time is valuable. Achievement of goals. There's a teaching called a day of reckoning, where our accomplishments and limitations will be revealed. Achievements of goals depends on the productive use of time. Yes, the result, an efficient, progressive society, often at the expense of interpersonal relationships. Ain't that at the expense of interpersonal relationships? Equality, egalitarianism. That's number 4. People have equal opportunities. People are important as individuals for who they are, not from which the family they come. Well, that could seem a little bit hypocritical, when I think Maryland and Virginia was the first state to legally say that, to be born, a child born of a woman, a child born of a woman slave will always be a slave. Yes, equality and egalitarianism, equal opportunity. I have three core values: opportunity, expression, and appreciation. Opportunity is a direct correlation of ownership. We're all born with the same faculties and same consciousness. Is what differs us differ from people or individuals the manner way in which they use them. Is this how a person has been raised, and the manner and way in which they make their decisions will determine how successful they are and they will be. And also, it could be contingent upon the benevolence of others. When people have been deprived of certain things, certain individuals or people will invest in them. Some will do it out of the kindness of their heart. Some will see that there is opportunity for them also to make money because they will make money off the individual. However, it means the manner and way in which they do so, without throwing any words in there. The result of equality and egalitarianism results a society where little difference is shown or status is acknowledged. Individualism, independence, and privacy. People are seen as separate individuals, not group members. And that could be some hypocrisy too as well. But needless to say, with individual needs, people need time to be alone and to be themselves. Now, I did see something on this wise, whereas that there was a renovating of a house and space, and at the end of the day, there was 3 children, and the narrator says that these children had their own space to develop as an individual. Because the individual is really the sum total of the whole. So people need space. If you look at this plane of existence, that which we do have is space, to be our own individual. We are our own individual universe. The best project that one can work on is him or herself. To be themselves, and it also realize that if you're not seen as groups, then it's not necessary to paint a broad brush, because we see that everybody's not the same. We're not monolithic. We're very diverse. We're very diverse as humans. Yes. The result of Americans may be seen as self-centered and sometimes isolated and lonely. Yes, that could also deal with what I call alienation, a feeling of being alienated. Sometimes you can have feelings of inadequacy. Let's look at here what I got here when it deals with alienation, because I concluded that there's 5 learning disabilities. And alienation, lack of sympathy, interest, and enthusiasm, or one's environment has become ill-nurtured, uncultivated, hostile, not caring. He or she will be more likely to take on the identity of the environment. No one cares, so why should I? And then if you look at that in that connection, even though it could be a little off in conjunction of what I just associated with what I just said, but people can have this black and white attitude with no gray area in between. That we do have what we call could be gray skies, but very extreme, like vacillating up and down. And if no one cares, you take on the attitude we see when we're dealing with success and decision making. We're dealing with environment, and motivation and environment. 2 things, motivation and environment. Yes. But then we deal with 6 self-help. And we look at people who were considered to be deprived, or people called African American, Black, Negro, or colored. Is that, how to be well, self-help. And Booker T. Washington, self-reliance. Marcus Garvey, self-reliance. Self-help. A.J. Gaston's, the businessman. S.B. Fuller, the businessman. Helping themselves. Self-help. And that's number 6. It says Americans take pride in their own accomplishments. Accomplishments and limitations. Because that's mental. See, mental labor precedes physical labor. Yes. Results: Americans give respect for self-achievements, not achievements based on rights of birth. That could be seen as somewhat hypocritical as well. But needless to say, just going by what this document says, and in any negative, you'll find some positive. Yeah. There's nothing extreme about what I'm sharing. Even though I use the term, could be a little hypocritical. That's all. Self-help. I always talk about Ida B. Wells. There was a story about her, and she realized that something of what she was dealing with. If I could find it in my book, I may not be able to find it. But there was a group of brothers who were opened up a business next to, and this deal with competition. Opened up a business right next to another ethnic group, considered to be white, and the whites went over there to the business and destroyed the business and killed the business owners. And I think Ida B. Wells said that she realized the type of people whom she is dealing with who would do such a thing. So yeah, completion and free enterprise, number 7. Free market society. Free enterprise. Americans believe competition brings out the best in people, and free enterprise leads to progress and produces success. There we go. A belief system. The American belief system. Believe competition brings out the best in people, and free enterprise leads to progress. So free enterprise is leading the way to progress and producing success. Martin Delany said it in the 1800s. A brother who was a physician and a war brother said franchise or suffrage. Yes, he was considered to be what's called a Negro, black, colored, or African American. But yes, then you deal with NAFTA or free trade agreement and all these terms that pertains to the global market, or connecting with the global market. But then we got the results. Competition is emphasized over cooperation. That could be a very hypocritical as well, because in order for someone to achieve, someone must cooperate. Yeah, you must cooperate. But see, I don't know if someone is putting people in a position that they continue to be at odds with one another rather than cooperate, unless people are cooperating and being at odds with each other. Yes. Instead of progression, there was regression, because I realized there's two struggles: progression versus regression, and common sense versus nonsense. Let's just go on with this here. 8, future orientation, optimism. How a person, or he or she, is orientated will determine, will help put him or her in a position to be successful, to be solution orientated. But this says future orientated, looking toward the future, preparing for the future, making decisions right now that will prepare you for the future. Yes, and optimism, and that's also associated with problem solving skills. Yes, a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, but an optimist sees an opportunity in every difficulty. Um, some would say, I'm just saying some, the sum total of the whole of that which have influence over my thinking will see an opportunity to exploit an individual, yes, and take advantage of it. But Americans believe that regardless of the past or present, the future will be better and happier. Results, happier is a relative term, and we know in this country, America says that the life, liberty, among them is life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Even though they were self-indulgent men, that's fine. Happiness, considered to be a relative term, but happiness is the well-being, the totality of one well-being. And some would also associate that with wealth. That's fine. But if we still talk about how to measure and determine how one is successful or being successful or his or her success, and it pertains to the American, the values of America and its culture. What it says, the values in America culture, and this is personal, because it comes to social comparison. I could see somebody who can inherit money and they may see the opportunity to enjoy themselves, however how they enjoy whatever they indulge in, that's their life, and to be around there, and then you see that you think that you're doing something that is contrary to that, and what maybe I or one individual may determine that which is wrong by someone else and that which is right by you. And you can see that the level of tolerance that one have, and it could be consuming something that is not healthy for him or her, and then the individual think he or she is doing right could be consuming something that's not healthy for them. You think about that, and that social comparison and determining how successful, or if that individual is successful in his or her endeavor, life endeavors, if I may use that term. Yeah, that's pretty interesting when it comes to social comparison. Yeah. So, but Americans believe that regardless of the past, present, the future will be better. Result, Americans place less value on past events, constantly look ahead to tomorrow. And that's not getting into your feelings. That's not getting into your feelings. Then 9, action and work orientation. Orientation twice. We see orientation twice. Yes. Before there is education, there is orientation. Before there is knowledge, there is discipline. Something precedes the other. Because we are born in condition, placed in a situation, surrounded by circumstances, consequently due to some previous activity that's taken place. How can you look someone, I'm not saying you can't, square in the eyes when he or she has a knowledge base, a knowledge understanding that supersedes yours. Interesting. But we are successful in our own way, in our own right, biologically, by us being on this plane of existence. Yes. Someone says success, you can't measure it, you just treasure it. Yes, he was one of the a new wave artists, I believe, said that. Yes. Result, the Americans emphasize on doing rather than being. Doing rather than being. This is a no-nonsense attitude toward life. No nonsense. There's some discipline and maybe that's the disparity or the difference, I should say. But there is some variables in anything that come into play. People who can do something that is considered to be very illegal still develop a no-nonsense, and they don't waste time in even exploiting or taking advantage of people, and they are successful at it. Then there's those who consider to do something that's not illegal, and they're not wasting any time what they are committed to, and they may not be as successful financially. But then we could associate that with people call moral standards and principles. But yet again, at the same time, if the options are minimized for other groups of people, and someone creates something that gives you more options, then your morals and standards will change. Your living will change, and you will start to feel good about yourself, wherever how means you went about obtaining some type of financial gain. It could be very complex, but hey, he or she's attitude changed toward himself and toward life due to his newfound way of he or she feels about himself and the manner and way in which they maybe acquired wealth, but they have it. They don't, they don't live the way that they used to live. Yes, it gets them out of position where they are not in that, at least in their head and in the environment, in an environment that they were in before. But yet there are those who are still in that environment, and they still have acquired some means of financial success, and could be done at the expense of exploiting others because they themselves have been exploited. Okay, informality, I should say, informality. Yes. Americans believe that formality is un-American and a show of arrogance and superiority. Result, casual, egalitarian attitude between people is more accepted. Egalitarian, so equal attitude, which means no excuses. That which is required upon us is to use our intelligence. And that could be somewhat hypocritical as well. Just the statement, not the statement that I made, but the statement about what I read. Come American believe that formality is un-American and a show of arrogance and superiority. Casual egalitarian attitude between people is more accepted. That's what I'm talking about. Number 11, directness, openness, honesty. One can only trust people who look you in the eye. Remember I said earlier, it's difficult to look someone square in the eye when you are not there where they are based upon their knowledge base. Does not mean that you hold your head down. But also that can be very challenging as well. Then when you can get to a certain position, you can become very arrogant about where you are. And tell it like it is. Truth is a function of reality, not of circumstances. Now you think about that. Truth can't be sacrificed to any interest. Only interest can be sacrificed to truth. The result, people tend to tell truth. For me, truth is the cause that impacts and affects the results of one's reality. And reality is real. Real is royalty. And royalty is how we treat one another. Truth, and not worry about saving the other person's face or honor. Being openness, and honest. Honesty, it says it's the best policy, and people can be honest in what they do to get ahead in life, whatever means they mind the way in which they go about doing it. They just honest about it. There's honest thieves. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there could be an honest murder killer. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to use that, but just honest about what they do. and that has to do with his or her propensity of one's nature, propensity of one's nature, and he or she is unable to manage and control his or her emotion. But you honest, I think in order to be cured, you must first admit that you're honest. So it does not necessarily mean that whatever dishonesty that has been done to you does not mean it's required for you to be dishonest, to dishonor or discredit, and even disrespect another human being. I think yes, but yeah. Number 12, practically and efficiency, practicality and efficiency. Practicality is usually the most important consideration. And when you're talking about as I said earlier, the values in American culture, and determining how to be success, and pertaining understanding, maybe your market value or a market value, and that which you are willing to, and what market value or you are in, and that which you are in pursuit of. For me, it could be human services, human services. Yes, important consideration when decisions are to be made. Yes, Americans place less emphasis on the subjective, aesthetic, emotional, or consensual decisions. Ah, man. I think Booker T. Washington said, drop your buckets right where they are. They're the saying, just do it. Okay, meaning, is there a perfect, ideal time? You think about it. Just go for it. You don't need maybe a lot of people to agree with what you're doing, because you are your own individual. Yes, materialism and acquisitiveness. Yeah. Material goods are seen, that which you have acquired. Material goods are seen as just rewards of hard work, the evidence of God's favor. Think about that. The only reward I come to learn to know is diligence. That says it means to an end rather than an end within itself. I think Dr. King says we must not allow the means by which we live to outdistance the ends for which we live. If we do so, we minimizing the maximum rather than maximizing the minimum. And the material goods, and look at the thinking of man, that which has materialized, or humans, that which has materialized is this physical body, this plane of existence. Is something that has materialized, but is associated with that which we place value on. Could be coffee, could be salt, could be sugar. And now the dollar, then you got gold, but the material, that which has materialized, your thoughts, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations have materialized. Remember, God's favor is now God is in the picture, the term itself, that which generates order. And that which generates order comes from the brain. And how it is constructed. The neurological transmitters, its receptors, and how it is communicating a message. before the child is born, the parents and the environment is really communicating a message to the child. While the child, before the child is born, when it comes out, the environment that it was in, and the environment that which it comes out could either reinforce or alter or communicate another message. But yet, it says that people, we're born with nobility and dignity. Anything else we learned along the way. But that which is generate order can also generate disorder. And when something generates disorder, that D will become destructive rather than constructive. So when you talk about generating order, you talk about generating order to be constructive rather than destructive. That's the favor. Result: Americans are seen as caring for more. This is differentiating now. This following what this says. And when I said that materialism acquisition, when you acquire, when one acquires things, material goods are seen as just rewards, which means it's just. No, the work that you put in is just. The effort that you put in is just. The time, the energy is just. And that just is a reward. A reward is raw or connect. And a reward is a district thing. Yes. Hard work. Because mental labor precedes physical labor. The law of labor. Laboring, giving birth is evidence of something that has been generated, and that which has been generated from the brain or the thought and the thinking. It's order. Before anything manifests itself, some would say you have to have order. And when you have order, you have duty. When you have duty, you have responsibility. And when you have a responsibility, you have accountability. And when you have accountability, you have civility. And when you have civility, you should have peace. And when you have peace, then therefore we are no threat to one another. On being successful, I just extracted from a document of values in American culture, because it was adapted by, or values American lived by L. Robert, I think somebody named Coles. But yes, people want peace. They want serene. And there is a saying about how some people may try to obtain that peace. It's called chemically induced peace. Because the natural chemicals that is in the body is disturbed. It's not at ease. It's not at peace. And people will consume something outside of and bring it outside and bring it inside of the body. And the chemicals associated with an environment inside of one's thinking and their mind. They may be successful materially and financially outside when it comes to aesthetics and how people hold them in high esteem and praise. But in the inside, they're not successful. at peace. I really don't necessarily know without giving an extreme statement about that. But what I do know that some evidence say that that's not the case. And certain people who are financially successful wind up doing things to the extreme and to a point where that they are no longer here. I want to say nothing but the best. SeeHumanity.org. Reverend Walimu. Kevin Patrick, teachers of teachers, preachers of preachers, when it comes to reverence from the heart. SeeHumanity.org. Promoters of the value of self-worth, communicators with precision and clear image to the world. Through 5.5 channels: understanding, tolerance, temperance, confidence, and respect. The mandate is to cultivate the potential of knowledge that is in us all. Success is you. Success is me.